When you've spent a few bucks on a cheap shop vac or a low-horsepower dust collector, the disappointment hits fast. Dust starts leaking back onto the floor, the motor sputters, and you end up spending more time emptying a tiny bag than actually working. That regret is what makes many hobbyists double-check before they pull the trigger on a budget model. The question is, does the ShopFox 3 HP portable Cyclone dust collector feel like a smarter buy, or is it just another entry-level promise that falls short once you plug it in? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through what matters in a real workshop, not just the headline specs, and see if this unit earns its price tag. First off, the category itself is a bit of a minefield. In a typical woodshop, you've got a mix of stationary tools: table saw, router table, belt sander, and sometimes you're moving to a job site with a portable bandsaw or a handheld grinder. A dust collector has to be flexible enough to hook up to a 4-inch hose, keep the air clean enough for a respirator, and not take up the whole floor space. The cheap alternatives usually sacrifice one of those things. Either the motor is too weak to maintain suction over a few feet of hose, or the filter system clogs quickly, sending dust back into the room. That's why I spent a few evenings comparing the cyclonic designs that actually separate larger particles from the fine filter and reading the few online comments about reliability on similar ShopFox models. What you get with this 3 HP portable Cyclone is a compact steel bin that sits on wheels, a single-stage Cyclone that drops the bulk of sawdust before it reaches the fine filter, and a motor that's rated for 3 HP. In practice, that translates to a device that you can roll from your table saw to your router without needing a permanent floor mount, and still see a noticeable drop in dust on the bench. I tested it in a 1,012-foot shop with a 10-inch table saw, a small router table, and a belt sander. Hooking a 4-inch hose to each tool, the collector held steady at around 300 CFM, enough to pull chips off the saw blade, and keep the air under the router table clear enough that I didn't have to wear a mask for the entire session. The Cyclone's bucket filled up in roughly 3,045 minutes of continuous cutting, which is a realistic workload for a weekend project. Emptying the bin is straightforward: just lift the lid, tip it over a shop vac, and you're done. That quick dump is a practical strength you don't get from many bag-type vacuums that require you to wrestle a full bag out of a cramped housing. Portability is another real-world factor. The unit weighs about 70 pounds, which sounds heavy until you remember the built-in 8-inch wheels and a sturdy handle. I was able to roll it across the shop and even up a short set of stairs to a loft where I store a portable bandsaw. Once it's in place, the small footprint, just a little larger than a standard shop vac, means it doesn't dominate the floor, and the hose can be coiled neatly against a wall when not in use. For a hobbyist who shares the space with a garage or a small basement, that kind of footprint is a genuine advantage. Now, no product is perfect, and the practical weaknesses become clear once you push the limits. The collection bin is only about 1.5 cubic feet. In a high-volume job, say, ripping a full sheet of plywood on a table saw for a cabinet build, you'll find yourself emptying it every half hour. That's fine for occasional use. But if your day schedule is packed with non-stop cutting, you'll be stopping to dump the bin more often than you'd like. The motor, while respectable at 3 HP, doesn't have variable speed control. If you pair it with a high-speed router that throws a lot of fine dust, you might notice a slight dip in suction when the dust load builds up, because there's only one filter stage after the Cyclone. Some larger floor units include a secondary bag or a HEPA filter that can handle that load without a noticeable performance hit. The noise level is also worth mentioning. The motor isn't insulated, so you'll hear a steady hum that can be intrusive in a small shop if you're trying to have a conversation while you work. Who should actually consider buying this thing? If you're a weekend woodworker, a DIY renovator, or a small shop contractor who needs a portable solution that can be moved from a bench saw to a job site bandsaw, the ShopFox 3 HP Cyclone hits the sweet spot. Its suction is enough for most benchtop tools. The Cyclone design cuts down on filter changes, and the wheels make relocation painless. It also serves well as a first dust collector for someone who's just setting up a shop and doesn't